My name is Noana Bingaman. I'm from Ripley, Ohio, and my firefighter is my husband, Wayne. He's an amazing person who lost his battle with pancreatic cancer August 14th, 2022, after being diagnosed June 8th, 2022. He was famous for one-liners and always playing jokes on people. Wayne was one of those that just instantly drew you into him. I mean, he was an exceptional firefighter, leader. He was an exceptional man.
My name's John Bingaman from Ripley, Ohio. My dad's Wayne. He's a volunteer fireman for all my life and pretty much all his life. Grew up in the firehouse, which is always what he did. It's where his heart was. I'm currently a career firefighter paramedic in Maysville, Kentucky. I've always wanted to be like my dad, I would say. I mean, that's the only thing I've ever known. I grew up in the firehouse. He was also a retired deputy sheriff in Brown County, Ohio, where we live. I've kind of bounced back and forth between law enforcement and fire, but fire took me and that's where I am.
Our whole family is first responders. I'm a advanced EMT with the village of Ripley. Our daughter, Bailey, is an EMT, so it's kind of come full circle with both of us. So our kids have been amazing and they had an amazing role model. Public service is our family business. He was a deputy sheriff. I was a 911 dispatcher. Then we both went in, or he was already in the fire and EMS service, and I went to the EMS service, and both our kids have been raised in the EMS service. We always told them growing up that there's nothing that you can do that either A, we haven't tried, or B, we won't find out about. Wayne became a firefighter. He was a cadet at age 14, and he lived in Mount Orb, Ohio at the time. We always made the joke I moved him to the better side of the county, down on the river. But Wayne started at 14. He would ride his 10-speed to the fire station, and it was just something he always loved. Playing fireman was in his blood. His brother did it. Everybody laughed because he had a nickname at the fire station in Mount Orb. They would call him Bong, not Bing. So they would always give him a hard time, but they would always laugh and say, yeah, he would ride his 10-speed. The fire tone would go out, and here he come on his 10-speed just as fast as he could go. So I think he did it because he could go fast at first, and then it kind of just turned into a teaching. He's always said the best thing that us old firefighters can do is teach the new firefighters how to become old firefighters. I would say that was probably the biggest thing that we learned, because when he passed, there was fire departments from 3 counties and another state away that came to the funeral and would call and ask if there was something they could do for us. So the brotherhood was a big part of it. People would stop by and talk to him on the front porch, and I didn't realize how thick that brotherhood was until he really got sick. I think the brotherhood to Wayne meant everything, because it was 30 guys that would be there no matter what to help him when he needed it.
To my dad, I think the brotherhood obviously meant quite a lot to him. And me coming up in the fire service now, I realize what all it means. It's not necessarily just colleagues that you go to work with. I mean, it's guys that I'm living with 24 hours at a time, every third day, whole third of the year, even volunteer side. But these are guys that I'm going and putting hours in with off shift, and these are guys that I'm up all night with. And we see stuff that we don't want to see, and we put ourselves in a lot of positions that we don't necessarily want to be in. But at the end of the day, no matter what it is, whether it's I'm having a hard time with this, or my water pipe's just busted, my house is flooded, I need help cleaning it out, guys are going to be there no matter what.
It actually started before they passed. There was a fundraiser that they had for him because he wasn't able to work, and of course I stayed home and was taking care of him. And I can't tell you how much it meant to know that there's within 2 blocks of the house, there's 5 different firemen that live there with their families. And no matter what time of the day it was I called, if Robbie was on shift, if I called him and said, I need help, they were there, and they are still there. The guys with the Ripley Fire Department have been and are amazing. No matter if it's we had some storm damage to the roof of our garage, and the neighbors are stopping in. The guys at the firehouse is like, "Do you need us to help?" And it's just, they're there. There's so many stories about him that I'm not. We had a flood in our town. Robbie was a cadet with the squad at that time, and we had some kids that were washed away, and the father of that family made it, and two of the sons, and he always stopped and told me how much Wayne meant to his family, because he was one of them that was there and helped get his family out of the tree. It's just, I don't know. When Wayne would run squad or fire with the drug epidemic in town, there's one guy in particular who had overdosed several times, and the last time he overdosed, Wayne just pulled out the carpet, as you would say, and he just literally chewed that guy up one side and down the other. He goes, "Do you know what you're doing to yourself?" I mean, the kids were standing on the porch, and the guy's still sober to this day, and that's been 5 years ago. Wayne, that's just the type of person he was. He would call a spade, and he just didn't. He was probably one of the biggest, hardest heart people that I've ever known in my entire life. But when it come to being tough, he was one tough person. There was nothing that he wouldn't. If you was wrong or you was out of line, he would tell you right now, and he did not mix words about it or bones about it. That's just who he was. He was a larger-than-life man. He lived, breathed the emergency services. His heart was at the firehouse. 25 years of law enforcement, the 45 years of fire service. He was always one to go to for support. He was always the first one to be there if something happened. And he was just a great mentor. Remembering Wayne for me, that would probably be my greatest love. He's the one that, like I always told the kids, I said, if you have one great love in your life, you're lucky. He was mine. He was somebody that I could depend on to be there. If I had a really bad run, he was the first one to be standing at the door waiting for me when I got back. And it's amazing to be able to talk to your spouse about what you just went through, knowing that he knows exactly what it is. And he always had that gruff exterior, thinking that, everybody's like, man, he's kind of an asshole. But he'd give that persona out, but he was probably one of the biggest teddy bears ever. That's just him.
I'm always going to remember my dad as, just without a doubt, he's my best friend. He taught me more than he'll ever realize just by simply doing what he did. I mean, he was him, without a doubt, through and through. There's a lot I could go into about memories with Dad and what we would do, but some I probably shouldn't get into on camera, I don't guess. Some of the best times I would say I had was we would go to West Virginia to the Hatfield McCoy trails. He has a side-by-side and not a four-wheeler, so we'd go trail riding for a week. We'd go with some of his old buddies he started at the firehouse with in Mount Orb. We'd spend a week in the mountains, and no self-service, and honestly, no women. It was just us. We were out there hanging out and having a good time. Being older, I would get to see a side of him that I didn't get to see growing up, and stuff that Mom wouldn't necessarily want him to do on a given night. But I mean, it was what it was. But it was a good way to bond with him and some of his friends and see why they were the way that they were, for whatever that may mean.
Wayne was the man with the biggest heart, but also the biggest jokester and mentor that I've ever known. And an amazing husband. 24 years. We never went to bed mad at each other. That was the secret. It was, okay, the kids want to do this. Nope. Yep. So it was just always go to bed, tell each other you love them, and to be careful, especially if you're going on runs.
My dad was probably the most cynical person, yet with the kindest heart that you'd meet. He didn't want to show it on the outside, but on the inside he would do anything and everything for anyone, and it didn't matter who you were or what you did. If there was a second chance to be given, he would do it without a doubt.
There's not a day go by that his loss has not felt. We were very lucky to have one.
Here's to you, with that smile on your face. Here's to you, and what I want to raise to this moment we share, to the love